Hello and welcome to eNews Lunchtime News at 1 p.m. I'm Tabang Masanabo. Thank you for joining us. Your top stories at this hour.
The police to be here, I'll come to that. We have requested the police to send a special unit called TRUT to be part of the community so that they can begin to push back the gangs. That unit will be here as from today.
Police Minister Bheki Cele has promised swift action. A task team will be on the ground today. He's in Westbury after answering the residents' call to come and give them solutions to the rampant crime in the area. The man accused of raping a little girl in the family restaurant in Pretoria will remain behind bars. He is due back in court on the 1st of November. Police Minister Bheki Cele has just addressed the community of Westbury. He promised swift police action. A task team will be deployed to the area as of today. The minister has also committed to ongoing engagement with the community and will return next week to further assess their concerns.
You have requested the police to be here. I'll come to that. We have requested the police to send a special unit called TRUT to be part of the community so that they can begin to push back the gangs. That unit will be here as from today. We do have, I want to make the separation. That unit is not the anti-gangsterism, but is a TRUT. I'm a beret. They'll be here to join already. The team of 20 that is here will add to patrol your street and take on gangsters whenever they try to be out on there. We agree on that. That shall be done as from today.
Reuben Peterson, whose wife's death sparked the protest, believes it's too little too late for government to visit his family. His wife's memorial service will be held tomorrow.
I would think that is rather late, you know, first to let innocent people die and then get a visit from government officials. To me, it doesn't really make sense. It's not going to bring my wife back, to be honest. And as it is, I also heard through the grapevine and the news here in the streets that people has been arrested. Investigating officers or the people in charge of this whole matter here hasn't even had the decency to come and see me, to come and speak to me, to come and talk to me, or anything. You understand what I'm saying? So going to what the people in the street knows, I think they know better than what I know. And I'm supposed to be the one to have been told, look, this is how far the investigation has gone, this is what we're doing, this is what we're still going to do, or even if they want to keep it under wraps so that word doesn't leak out of what they are doing, they were still supposed to approach me. And nobody had the decency to do that.
Now, the 20-year-old man accused of raping a little girl at a Dross restaurant is to remain in police custody for another month. He will appear in court again on the 1st of November. During his appearance in the Pretoria Magistrates Court this morning, his lawyer argued he'd been injured both at the restaurant and in custody. Media houses applied to be able to take pictures of the suspect. The magistrate ruled that photographs may be taken in court but not videos. Scores of protesters from various civil society groups and political parties gathered outside the court. Our reporter Erin Bate was there and joins us now. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, Erin, we understand that the magistrate said that the suspect may now be named. Who is he? And just give us an update of what happened.
The magistrate did not say that. The NPA has been naming the accused, and as a precaution, ENCA is consulting, our editors are consulting just to clarify on that point. But a name that has been broadly circulating on social media has been confirmed by the NPA. We're just checking out the paperwork before we name the accused. What the magistrate did allow for was photographs before and after his appearance in court. The 20-year-old man accused of the child rape appeared. He had some visible wounds to his neck and also his head, kept his head cast down for most of the proceedings and held his hands or kind of closed his arms.
Now, you were in that courtroom, and we understand caution is a priority, but take us back to that moment. How did he look like? What was his appearance when he made his appearance in court today?
Well, Tabang, I have to say, just being in court, you wonder what is going through the mind of someone like that, particularly considering the severity of the charges that he's facing. And it was really interesting to see how many people heckled him in court. For example, after that order saying he could be photographed, he was accompanied out by police, then returned in a hoodie. And so, as you see now, he concealed his face. A woman said to him, "Are you ashamed?" And highlighted that the child who is the victim of this crime must live with the consequences of it. And the accused in this matter, is he aware of that, now hiding his face not only from the public but from the press as well? So the matter's been remanded. He remains in police custody, but some serious allegations on the part of his attorney that he'd been assaulted not only at the restaurant where the child rape occurred, but also subsequently, on the version of the attorney, in police custody.
Now, Aaron, is the NPA confident of a successful conviction in this case? And what's the latest with regards to the police investigations?
So on the police investigation, they seem to have most of the witness statements that they need. They're waiting for some forensic reports to come back in. And we do know that some white powder, which was found in the possession of the accused, has gone for testing, narcotics testing. So we're waiting to hear back on that. He has been charged with drug possession along with rape and assault with intent to do grievous bodily harm. In terms of the NPA's case, I put that to Pindilom Jodondwane of the Gauteng NPA. She didn't answer it directly, but if you look at the evidence that's already before the NPA, the eyewitnesses, the people in the restaurant, the video of the subsequent assault, it seems, of patrons of the accused, it certainly looks to the layperson, you could say, or to me, to be more specific, that the NPA does have a strong case in this matter.
Well, thank you so much for that update. That was our reporter, Erin Bates, giving us an update on that story. Now, SASSA has met a constitutional court order that it phase out cash paymaster services by the end of September. A panel of experts confirmed in court that in a court's paper that the transfer from CPS to the South African Post Office has gone well. The Post Office took over the payment of social grants from Monday. The Constitutional Court last year ordered the Social Development Department to find a new grants distributor. Now we're back with your business news. The National Taxi Alliance has little choice but to raise fares as the petrol price goes up for the 7th time this year. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. Let's take a look at the international news making headlines. The death toll in the quake-hit Indonesia has jumped past the 1,200 mark. That's as the search for survivors continue. Rescuers are still frantically trying to free people trapped under rubble. The island of Sulawesi was hit by a massive earthquake on Friday, triggering tsunamis and mudslides. The crew of a Spanish tuna fishing vessel have been arrested off Gabon for illegally catching sharks. They were also stripping the sharks of their fins. The Senegalese-flagged vessel Vema is licensed to fish only for tuna, but it was found last week to be carrying about 2 tons of mostly blue sharks and shark fins. Authorities say blue sharks are classified as near threatened by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. Viewed as a status symbol, shark fins is mostly eaten in China and some other parts of East Asia. The Worldwide Fund for Nature says over 70 million sharks are killed annually, pushing more than a quarter of the species into extinction. Back home, and the National Taxi Alliance says the latest petrol price hike means operators will be forced to raise fares. The fuel price is rising by up to R1 a litre at midnight, a record increase. It's the 7th consecutive hike. Taxi organizations have warned commuters to prepare to pay more. The National Taxi Alliance's spokesperson, Theo Malele, has urged government to subsidize the industry.
There certainly will be. I mean, like I have said earlier on, we're charging charitable fares as opposed to market-related prices. We ferry the majority of the community muscles, and yet we are not being subsidized by government. And that's government's responsibility. Now, to give you even more, to put more impetus on this that I've just saying, is that we've completed a research, and we favored the Minister of Transport, the Minister of Finance, and the Minister of Minerals and Energy, for them to go through what we have actually discovered, and for them to take appropriate action. And failing which, we would be left with no other alternative other than that one of going the constitutional court way.
One petrol attendant says business has been affected by the price hikes.
We have such a huge problem. Increasing of the petrol is causing us a lot because we're losing the many customers. Because the many customers, they're going to use the public transport, such as our trains, like that. Even us as a petrol attendant, it's affecting us because the taxes is going up. We're going to pay more.
As South Africa prepares for the Jobs Summit, 50% of working-age adults don't have a job. Nqobile Madlala caught up with an unemployed Pretoria resident who's struggling to find work.
26-year-old Tebogo arrived in Pretoria from Limpopo with a dream to work hard and accumulate money that will serve as a capital to grow the farm his dad had left him.
Into yangiletha la Pretoria like imali. Ngize la Pretoria ngifuna imali ukuthi nami ngizowaba ngibe nemali, ne? Ngikhona nefarm yami lapha eLimpopo la ngibuya khona. Ngizowazi ukubuyela ekhaya ngiyolima ngama tractor wami. Because without money I can't do nothing, sisters. And without job, there's no money.
His passion has always been to be a chef. But after failing his matric, and with no likelihood of being able to go back to school, he worked as a waiter in a restaurant that later closed down. And he was left to endure the ongoing South African unemployment crisis.
Le restaurant yavalwa ukuthi ngiphume la. Bengeke ngiphume la pe restaurant manje yavalwa, and then ngathola the certificate, and then ngihleli naso, sisters. Plus if ngiyamaketa naso ngiyasiphosa naso basibona ukuthi bani umjita sho ukuthi uphethe certificates ukhona ukwenza noma yini, but umsebenzi awukho.
He says looking for a job has taken a lot from him. He has even fallen victim to newspaper scams that asked him to pay in order to get a job.
I tried twice. My money yami yahamba nje. Uthi uyafuna kusasa ifuna isasebenzi.
He says psychologically, being unemployed has a big effect on him. His partner takes care of him, and he no longer feels like a man because he can't provide for her.
Ngathi sister, ngathi mina ngicheri. Icheri yami yani out. La kumina ngithola. Shukuthi ngisithatha njengecheri mina. Yena out la kumina. Because yena uprovide mina ngikhona ukumenzela next.
It takes him 3 hours to walk to the train station, and he spends roughly 600 to 700 rands on a taxi going back and forth.
Per month, almost 600-700 rand I use it. And that 700 rand I don't have.
And he says he is now losing hope that the South African government will be able to help him.
Ngikhuluma ngabantu abaningi abasha la eMzansi, sister, asisebenzi. Why? Because of this government.
Nqobile Madlala, Atteridgeville, Pretoria.
Let's take a look at the markets.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Weather Centre. It's a very windy day along the South African coastline, not just the west and south coast, but later on we're expecting strong winds along the east coast as well. In the meantime, light winds and high temperatures are at the order of the day in the Lowveld, but we're expecting much cooler weather there tomorrow, and it will also be much cooler in KZN as well. At the moment, a low pressure system is churning to the south of the country. We can see clouds moving in a clockwise direction around the low. It's also causing gale force winds, and it caused gale force winds between Plettenberg Bay and PE this morning. These strong winds will spread up the east coast during the course of the afternoon. Ahead of the approaching front, it's hot over the eastern parts of South Africa, but it's showery and cold over the southern parts of the country. We're expecting this front and gale force winds to spread eastwards during the course of the afternoon. Thunderstorms are expected to develop over the southern parts of KZN later today, and strong southerly to southeasterly winds with wind speeds between 40 and even 60 kilometers per hour are expected along the west coast this afternoon and overnight tonight. In the meantime, it remains dry and warm over the northern parts of South Africa. There's a 60% chance of showers for the rest of today along the south coast. Rain will start to clear from the west, and we're expecting thunderstorms later on over the southern parts of KZN. The South African Weather Service has a watch for gale force west to southwesterly winds along the coastline between Plettenberg Bay and East London. Average wind speeds of 65 kilometers per hour and even higher speeds later on. There's also a warning against a high fire danger over the central parts of South Africa, mainly affecting northwest, the Free State and the eastern half of the Northern Cape. Winds are strong over the interior today, average speeds of 30 kilometers per hour in the R, Kimberley and Bloemfontein, but gale force winds along the Eastern Cape coastline, and winds are strong in Cape Town from the south at 40 kilometers per hour, while winds remain light in the Lowveld. Their temperatures are approaching the 40-degree mark today, with maximum of 36 expected in Mbombela. Pretoria hot as well, with a high of 32. Much colder over the southern parts of the country. 13 degrees in Sutherland today, 22 in Graafrenet, and only 16 in George, while Cape Town could look at a maximum of 17, but it's still hot over northern KZN with highs up to 33 degrees in Richards Bay. Tomorrow it will be much colder there. We're expecting a high of only 14 in Pietermaritzburg, together with rain. Thunderstorms become possible in Gauteng, and Cape Town will remain windy and cool, but on Thursday things start to warm up over the western part, and it will be drastically cooler in Gauteng as well. That's all from the Weather Centre. Enjoy your afternoon.
Let's take another look at your top stories before we go.
You have requested the police to be here. I'll come to that. We have requested the police to send a special unit called THIS to be part of the community so that they can begin to push back the gangs. That unit will be here as from today.
Police Minister Bheki Cele promises Westbury residents swift action. A task team will be on the ground today. The man accused of raping a little girl in a family restaurant in Pretoria will remain behind bars. He is due back in court on the 1st of November. And in sport, Juventus star Cristiano Ronaldo faces rape charges. Well, that's it from us for now. Sally Badet will have the latest news on eNews at 8. Goodbye.